All right, let's talk about different types of economies. So, how do we organize production? That's the central question of policy and economics, and you can take a few different approaches. So, we've got command economy, whereby the state tries to essentially run everything. We've got a free market economy, where the state will have to intervene to do things like protect property rights, but other than that, it doesn't really want to be directly running production. That's the best way I can explain it. So free market in the sense that the state isn't trying to excessively regulate how production is done, but it does provide an overall framework with property rights, maybe intellectual property rights, giving authors copyright, giving inventors patents, things like this to facilitate there being some system rather than just chaos. And then we have the mixed market economy, which is literally just the mix between the two. So government will more tightly regulate certain industries, and it may even run a couple of industries, like it may run energy, it may run water, it may run the railway, because these are very important industries, and they're industries that rely on economies of scale. So they're done best, potentially. People argue about this, but they're done best potentially at the scale of the entire economy. And therefore, it makes sense for there just to be, let's have the government run it. But in most industries, people would say, hey, there should be competition, there should be private firms trying different ways of doing things, and government should stick out. And that's broadly the approach of the mixed market economy. Hey, there are some things that government should do, some things that government should tightly get involved in, but regulate, but it's still private sector, and other things that it should leave freely to the private sector. That's the mixed market. Command economy is like the Soviet economies, and free market economy is where government takes a step back, but just provides some framework. So Hong Kong is probably pretty close to well, by the standards of what we see in the world, it's close to free market. Somewhere like Germany or France will be a mixed market system, whereby you still have, like, say, state-owned industries. Say the French government has a big stake in energy companies, and then a command economy will be, as I said, like the Soviet Union, government tried to run everything. Those are, broadly speaking, the three types of economies. Now, generally, markets tend to be good, right? They help companies compete, find different ways of producing stuff. This is all very good. However, you get market failure, which is this whole other topic, but you often get cases in which markets don't work. So if the government stays out of it, then one company might get loads of power and it might exploit that power. So it might be a monopoly or a monopsony. We'll learn about those terms later, but it might have loads of power to exploit. That's one thing. Another thing is it doesn't really care about costs to people who aren't customers or itself. So you might get a lot of externalities, a lot of hurt to other people. You're going to get under provision of public goods, goods that benefit people, but you can't really make money out of them. So things like roads, it's quite difficult to make money out of roads. Not impossible, but impossible, right? So these are certain problems with free markets, with pure free market systems. However, on the command economy side, it's incredibly inefficient because government is not always going to know best. And even if it did know best about how to produce stuff, that doesn't answer the question of what should government be producing. Because how does government know what people really want or what's going to really be useful? And that's the beauty of the price mechanism. That's the beauty of, hey, when people want things more, they're willing to pay for them more. So prices go up. And then companies go, hey, we can make loads of money selling this thing. So they investigate how to produce it. Or if there's a shortage, prices go up. So then companies go, wait, we can make more money if we can find new ways to do it. And conversely, if the price for something is low, then either people don't want it very much or it's already very cheap to make. And so then you don't need to bother spending loads of energy making loads more of it or finding new ways to make it. So the price mechanism is pretty cool in that respect. And people like Hayek will talk about that a lot, that it's in the process of having a market that the information of like what is needed gets discovered, not just what's the best way to produce something. I